We were speaking about new things. Basically, the world constantly changing, new things coming, and we were just talking about this the other day, where it seems like a lot of people are confused, and they seem to think that okay, now we got smartphones. This is it. Like, yeah, they're gonna get a little bit more fancy, the smartphones, but they don't seem to understand that the smartphone is just like this is just the beginning. This is literally just, this has opened a whole new world, and the paradigm will shift. Like, there will be a moment where smartphones will become just, you know, useless.
Well, a smartphone is just the hardware stuff.
Right.
It's the software behind it and the algorithms and the AI that keeps evolving, and that's the interesting part about it. Because you also got like things like quantum computing coming up, and there is and technology. There are bad parts about it because how it influences the media and the information we're intaking. But I think in a lot of ways, like for example, this blockchain technology can be really good to decentralize a lot of things, and to, for example, if you want to buy a house, you can go. You can, in the future, you might be able to do it without a notary, so you can leave it out because of, let's say, a blockchain technology which has a distributed ledger, and that parts about that would be really interesting, and it will mean that you have to pay less when you're buying a property, for example.
Oh, hold on. Explain that to me in monkey terms.
So, which part? The distributed ledger?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know how blockchain works. It's so a blockchain is literally a chain of blocks which contain information, and it's a ledger. So it means that you have info, and when you want to change info, for example, one block contains this property is owned by Lawrence, and then you're selling it. Well, you're not changing the original information. You're making an extra block to the ledger, and okay, this block contains Lawrence has sold it, for example, to I don't know who, person X, and that's how you're making a ledger. And what it has is it's called proof of work, and with proof of work, it also it showcases that it's distributed throughout the entire network, and this means that everybody can see, and so. It's not centralized in a way where, let's say, somebody can alter it. No, everybody, the whole network, always can see each part of each block that is added. So in that way, you don't have to have a regulating govern. You don't need that regulatory instance, for example. Mm-hmm. So in that way, it's super cool because then what's the part? Let's say, for instance, of a notary who is saying, you actually own this property and this is the information. Because I looked it up. Well, he gets cut out because all that information is stored into the blockchain part or into one block. So that would be interesting. And there are lots of, this whole blockchain technology, and for example, with the elections, they were also talking about this. Like in the future, we should do voting also based on this blockchain technology, which is then this distributed ledger, because we will know for certain that there is no fraud involved. Because you can't change it. It just adds up, and it's all hashed and crypto. So is it hashing function in which is it stored? I think, or is it cryptography free? I think it's a hashing it's stored into these blocks. So people can change it, and it's secured. So it's super interesting how we can use some of these new technologies in everyday life also. But then there is also the part of, let's say, like something like quantum computing, which it's super difficult still, but it will make a lot of things possible, because if you combine that with, let's say, neural networks and the possibilities that we can go for, and the let's say, like the technology increase we can have because of things like that, it will be huge, I think.
But how are we going to get everybody on board? Because there is a very clear reluctance from not just old people. There's a reluctance from people in their 30s right now.
Against technology.
Yeah, they're just like, okay, I did the whole smartphone thing, I get it, but you know, this is where I draw the line. Like, we know people, you and me know people personally that just have zero interest in just kind of like going, adapting and going with the flow and just How is that going to work?
But yeah, I think it's also about learning these people what it's actually about. Because a smartphone, a lot of people think of a smartphone as like social media actually, because that is like a smartphone isn't. It's like for a lot of people, a smartphone is inherently combined with social media. That's what you use.
Selfies, yeah.
WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, and that's how they relate to a smartphone. But the smartphone is also super useful to navigate, like using Google Maps or, I don't know, a lot of things. All these apps. A smartphone is a gatekeeper of all your apps, actually. So, and some of these apps are super interesting. So, okay, so what you're saying was like some people are opposed to against, I've got a smartphone now. Well, I don't want to go further with it. But I think we should explain to them that, like, for instance, like a blockchain technology, you can own your own private key and all of your information will be much more secured because you own your private key and nobody else can access it. So, and it's very good set up with this thing called asymmetric encryption, where you also have a public key. So in that way, people can store their information very well, and there is really not a lot of downsides to it. So, I mean, sometimes you just gotta push for it and go along with it, I think, with these kind of technologies.
I hear you, but at the same time, there are so many people right now who are starting to develop this feeling, this notion that technology has become this dark evil force. Like that's how they view it. AI has been painted as Terminator. They're gonna come and kill us all, and it's a very clear divide because it's so annoying. I had some dudes on Instagram. There's nothing worse than dumb people that figured out how to log in to the conspiracy forum. Like, oh man. And the worst part is some of the things that they talk about are not even false. It's just that they don't know how to differentiate like bullshit from actual real things, and they just kind of throw it all at you at the same time. And it's like, oh, you're not helping anyone. You're actually doing a big disservice to the message that you're trying to convey. It's like yes, it's important that we educate people on the dangers of, for example, social media and how companies are targeting your privacy and using your data, not for good, obviously. But then when you start talking about things like lizard people and Earth being flat and the classics like that, it's like it takes all the power away from the good.
But the problem is, how can you blame these people while their information they're gathering that is being pushed to them is just based on some algorithms in which they've showed interest to. And that's just all they're getting now, and this algorithm keeps pushing it further and further. And it's basically the premise of the social dilemma, right? Have you seen it now?
I still haven't seen it.
But you've seen the podcast with Tristan Harris.
Yes. So I have. Yeah.
So you have the basic notion of it.
Yeah.
So that's literally the point of it. That's one of the bad parts about these algorithms, that in some cases they become black boxes where nobody actually really knows what they are doing anymore. And that's a problem, I think. And in a lot of ways, I think we need some regulatory oversight on companies like Facebook or Google who are creating these personas of us who have all this data about us and what they are doing with it and how they are selling it. So it shouldn't be possible for a Russian guy to target some ads at us with a pure intent that's not right for us. Or I think there should be more regulatory oversight on it. Yeah.
Somebody needs to watch the watchers, basically.
Yeah. I think so, yeah.
Do you need help making better decisions in your life? Are you lacking self-confidence and motivation to get things done? Hire me today and get a direct daily line of communication with me through video chat and audio messages. I operate on a week-to-week basis, so no long-term investment is required. 7 straight days of Viking advice will get you right on track. Email me at lorenz.dries@gmail.com and change your reality. I'm ready whenever you are. See you soon.